Hi all, and welcome to this presentation with Xplora Technologies. My name is Øystein Lodgaard. I'm an analyst here at ABG. And with us today, we have Sten Kirkbak, who is the CEO and founder of Xplora, as well as Michael Clement, which is the CFO of the company. So with that, I give the word over to you, Sten. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining your conference here today. It's a pleasure for us to join. As you mentioned, myself, Sten Kirkbak, CEO, will guide you through the intro of this presentation, and then Michael Clement, our CFO, will take you through some financial highlights from Xplora. If you go 2 slides down, we will kick things off. One more. Thank you. So, just a quick introduction who we are and our mission in life. The reason why we get up in the morning and get to work is that we are onboarding kids to a more safe and appropriate way into the digital life. That actually means that we are capturing the next upcoming digital consumer, our kids, the first time they're entering into this world of connected devices. We are providing them their first mobile phone in the form factor of a smart watch. And also the first time they're entering into this new digital ecosystem with their first mobile phone, their first SIM connectivity subscription, and their first digital content. If you go to the next slides, I will quickly guide you through what that really means. In the short time we have been in the market since 2016, we have already become the category leader in our core market for smartwatches for kids. It's a large and untapped and fast growing market. Our business model is highly scalable, and it also drives a lot of high profitable recurring revenues. Since we started, we have sold more than 840,000 smartwatches for kids in our core target group, kids from 4 to 10 years old. We have also now more than 140,000 paying subscribers. As we mentioned, since this is a mobile phone, you have to have a SIM connectivity plan in order to make it work, and we provide our own SIM connectivity cards inside the smartwatches. So more than 140,000 paying subscribers already. In total, Xplora products are distributed in more than 20 markets, and our headquarters is here in Oslo, and we have now more than 120 employees. And we are also a listed company on Euronext Growth Exchange. Next slide, please. We find it also very important to give you a quick highlight of the key value proposition to the product, and also why we think this has become so very popular amongst both kids and parents. We have to remember with our product, we are addressing 2 key pain points to most parents having kids in the age group 4 to 10 years old. First pain point is they would like to be able to call their kids if they have to without buying them a smartphone, which is in reality is a super advanced computer. Second, most parents also really appreciate the fact that kids are spending more and more time in front of the screen, hence they are becoming less and less active. So 2 pain points, the ability to make a phone call and incentives for kids to have less screen time and more activity. That's why we are positioning our product as your child's first mobile phone, but then we have removed all the bells and whistles from a typical smartphone. So taking away internet connection, social media, and all these applications that's not really appropriate for kids, but focused on some very, very key features and functionality, such as making phone call. If you are granted on the contact list from the parents, you can send messages, you can see location, we have emergency feature, safe zone, step counter, and so on. Only the core basic feature. It provides peace of mind for parents, and it provides a product for the kids that can extend or delay the need for a mobile phone or a smartphone. On the next page, you can then see how we have built our portfolio of intellectual property since we started the company. First, emphasizing building really a hardware agnostic IoT platform, allowing in reality really to connect whatever kind of sensor a lot of multiple different hardware products. Of course, we focused initially on smartwatches. We have then also built a lot of IP around building 7th generation of product, and also this year launching 3 new products into the market. The third area of IP comes from our Xplora Connect services. Already we have a connectivity service in all our Nordic markets, and we have now also announced our rollout plan into more global market throughout this year, making Xplora Connect available in 9 markets throughout 2022. The fourth area of our IP strategy is related to our premium services, allowing us to add additional content and additional service revenue on top of our already highly profitable connectivity SIM revenues. On the next page, you will then also see how we are monetizing on our IP strategy. First and foremost, we are of course selling our smartwatches, having roughly 30% plus margin, as many hardware players will see on similar products. We are really looking into our products as an enabler to allow us to sell high margin service revenue. The second monetization model is, as mentioned, our SIM connectivity. All products in the Nordic market come pre-bundled with SIM cards from Xplora, and as mentioned, we are rolling out that strategy into more international market throughout this year as well. And the third way we are monetizing is to increase or upgrade our subscriber members into additional premium services. That will come later this year and will be part of our service revenue into 2023. The next page will then see, will capture our current global footprint. We are by far the smartwatch provider in our core markets, having the broadest distribution footprint when it comes to either telco distributor, retail distributor, or in general distribution partners in more than 22 markets, and also more than 80 brands are currently carrying our portfolio of products and selling it through either online or physical retail stores. Also, a very important point, we are homologated successfully with more than 10 different telco partners around the world as well. We have had a strong footprint in the Nordic and the European market, and on the next page, you will see that one of our key focuses going into end of 2022, also going into 2023, will be to build a strong retail distribution footprint also in the US market. And we have already announced key agreements with retailers such as Walmart, Target, and Best Buy. On the next page, you will see a snapshot of our 2022 and 2023 product roadmap. Historically, we have introduced 2 or 3 products into the market with a life cycle of roughly 2 years. And this year we are launching 3 new products, 1 entry-level product, XGO3, and 2 premium products, X6 Play and X6 Pro, which will be launched into the market second half of this year. To end my introduction, on the next page, you can see a status quo of our current penetration in the market. In the Nordic markets, where we have been the longest time, and also in Norway, where we started, already now we have 18% market penetration of kids age group 4 to 10. So almost 1 out of 5 kids in Norway are currently using an Xplora watch with the associated Xplora SIM card. Michael?
Thank you, Stan. If I can get the next slide, please. We'll move into some of our historic financials. Xplora was established in 2016, and the company spent the lion's share of 2016 and 2017 developing platforms and bringing products to market. So 2018 was in essence the first commercial year for Xplora, where the company sold around 20,000 smartwatches, and primarily in the Nordic region. Growth has been brisk over the last 4 years, increasing sales then from 2018 levels of sub 20 million NOK to more than 430 million NOK in 2021. The driver behind these sales have largely been an increase in device sales, selling close to 400,000 smart watches in 2021. More than or around double the amount of watches sold in the year before. On the next slide, you can see the revenue breakdown of Xplora last year. Out of the 431 million NOK in revenues, 340 million NOK were derived from sales of smartwatches, device sales. 92 million NOK were driven by recurring service revenues from connectivity in the Nordic region. As Sten mentioned, we've come the longest in the Norwegian market, having a penetration of more than 18% of children in our target group, but are quickly building a market position in some of the other Nordic markets, now being extended to more markets outside the Nordics as we move into the latter parts of 2022 into 2023. On a geographic basis, Germany was our largest market last year and continues to be among our largest markets, driven by a very high share of device sales, whereas Norway is our second largest market, as the high share of service revenues builds on that revenue base. Sweden represents our third largest market, both in 2021 and so far in 2022. Moving on to the next slide, we can see that the company has, after some initial investments in markets and in its business, reached profitable operations on the EBITDA line in 2021. And the company certainly has ambitions to continue on this trend moving ahead. Although also 2022 is a year of major investments in new products, as Sten mentioned, and in new geographies. But scaling our business is of vital importance to us. On the next slide, you can see the development in the subscriber base of Xplora over the last few years. Xplora Technologies acquired its largest distributor in the Nordics and close partner in Q1 of 2021, gaining access to a subscriber base of 80,000 subscribers. Over the last 5 quarters, we have grown that subscriber base to 134,000 subscribers at the end of Q2. Close to 80,000 of these subscribers are in the Norwegian market, and as you see on the on the right-hand side of the slide, representing 18% penetration of our target market, kids aged 4 to 10 years of age, with 4% penetration in Sweden and 3% penetration in Finland. We have the shortest history in the Danish market, in a year and a half, reaching 2% penetration in the Danish market with more than 7,000 subscribers at the end of Q2. Xplora is applying the same go-to-market strategy in all its markets, and we are happy to see that these are bearing fruits. On the next slide, we are trying to portray how our growth in penetration in these 4 markets has developed over time. As you can see, the blue line represents Norway with now 18% penetration. We have the longest history in Norway, but we are seeing that the increase in penetration in Sweden, in Finland, and also in Denmark, although over a shorter time period, is developing very similar to the growth and penetration that we experienced in the Norwegian market at an earlier stage. We will now grow, as you can see on the next slide, copy this both business model and service model, as well as our go-to-market model, into more markets, and have announced that we, in 2022, will roll out our MVNO service business into the UK, already live, France, Spain, Germany, and the US market. We all are already present in some of these and have significant sales, as I've shown in the German market. I will now copy this service model as we have had highly success with in the Nordic markets in 5 new markets moving into 2023. So with that, finally, I think we can go into the next slide and just shortly, as Sten mentioned, we've been listed on Euronext Growth Oslo since November 2020. So for 2 years now, we have 41.7 million outstanding shares, invested capital of around 540 million NOK, have around 1,300 shareholders, of which the 10 largest control close to 50%. Exited Q2 with more than 80 million NOK in cash, of which net cash was around 50 million NOK, and a strong equity ratio of 75%. So with that, I think I will leave the word over to Sten for a short summary on the last slide.
Thank you. To summarize it all, I think some key bullet points is worth highlighting in the summary. First of all, if you look into this market, if you evaluate this market, I think it's fair to say Xplora is by far a category leader in our core market when it comes to the width of the portfolio, when it comes to the width of our services, but also distribution power and footprint. Also, I think it's very important to mention that we have a very compelling and scalable business model, since we're not just selling watches, but look at our watches more as an enabler to provide a lot of highly profitable services, either in the form of SIM connectivity or going forward additional value-added services. And the value proposition is, as mentioned, very compelling for parents, because we're addressing peace of mind for parents, and we're allowing kids to connect into the digital world at a slightly earlier age than to wait for their first smartphone. It's also important to mention that the company is very securely funded in order to deliver on our growth plans and ambition, both in terms of going into new markets, providing and delivering, introducing new services as well. And also, I think the last point is very important to highlight is that the company now have a very clear and defined growth strategy. It's not about launching new products and new services into the market and hope that this will be well received. Our growth strategy going forward is actually replicating what we have done successfully now for 4 years. We'll be introducing new generation of watches. We have understood and learned the market, what the market likes and what the market needs of that kind of product. So we are introducing new products, emphasizing more profits and scalability in the way we are distributing and building our products. Then the second point of the growth strategy is to replicate what we have successfully done already into the Nordic market and do exactly the same thing into 4 new international markets, and no risk in the execution of the technology or the agreement that's already been introduced and announced. And the third element is to add 1 additional layer of our service revenue on top of the SIM connectivity, which you have to have. We are then introducing new content services to upgrade to additional recurring revenue per month by having value-added services. So I think that summarizes the company and, most importantly, our growth model going forward. And with that, we would like to then open for any potential questions in the Q&A session.
Thank you very much for an interesting presentation. So I just wanted to start off with, there are, of course, other kids smartwatch brands out there. But how do you differentiate yourself from these other products? What are the unique factors for Xplora?
Yeah, I think the 2 things I would like to just emphasize is, 1 is, of course, our strength when it comes to distribution, meaning that we build a lot more awareness and availability for the market than most of our competitors by simply just being more available. That's the 1 thing. On the product and service side, we would like to highlight that we deliver more than just a product, which is really one of the key thing that most of our competitors are delivering. They have one watch. But if you think of the fact that whatever watch manufacturer, you have roughly 30% margin, so you are making $25 or so on a product, that really limits your ability to develop products, features, services, but also marketing power. Since we are one of the very, very few competitors that have the product plus SIM plus services, we have a significantly higher revenue and gross margin on the product we're selling, allowing us to invest more in marketing and a lot more in product development and services. Hence, we also have a much stronger service proposition than all our competitors.
Very interesting. And you've guided for 50% growth this year. Will that, do you expect that mainly to come from your existing core markets, such as Nordics and Germany, or is that a lot driven by new markets or new sales agreements that you have?
Me? Sure. So far this year, we have seen our existing markets being the Nordics and being Germany being key drivers of our revenues, and we expect that to continue throughout 2022. We have started to build new retail agreements, new distribution partners in other markets, such as the US. We've also announced the UK. We have, in our experience, it takes time to get these up and running, as we've seen in existing markets, to educate the sales force, to kind of build a reputation and an experience with them. So the answer to the question is existing markets primarily.
I see. And of course, the US is the biggest addressable market out there for your products, and you're putting a lot of focus on that market. Already have signed 3 big new distribution agreements with Best Buy, Target, and Walmart for online distribution. But how will you work to create brand awareness and awareness of your products in the US market?
I think one thing to highlight on that question is that from day one, since we launched in the Norwegian market in 2017, the first year with products, we have tried to replicate the go-to-market strategy every single year and every single market. We did exactly the same thing in the Nordic countries as we did in Norway. We did exactly the same thing in the German market as we did in the Nordic markets, and we will do exactly the same thing in the US market as we have done so far. That means, in specific, we focus firstly on our own channels, which we can control, our websites, our Amazon channel. Secondly, we will then emphasize the retail footprint we have to help us build awareness via our retailers. And the third element is to continue to build this awareness from our telco partnership, meaning that it's not just Xplora investing marketing dollars to build awareness. We are primarily doing that in the first step on our own channels. But then once we grow with retailers and telco, we are jointly investing in marketing with those partners, giving us significantly more impact in that awareness phase.
Interesting. And it's probably too early to say, but have you already started to see some interest in the US market, or is that too early to evaluate the reception there?
I think it's too early since we have no significantly sales data. And then the reason for that is that, as we have said for quite some time, roughly you can divide the market into these 3 channels: online, our own online channel, retail, and telco. The telco will roughly represent 50% of the market size, the retailer roughly 30%, and 20% left to our own online channel. Meaning that in the early phase, stage 1, when we only primarily have online and some early phase of retail, the volume will not be significant. However, what we can see is that already as early as now, Amazon has been among the top 3 market in size of our own channels globally. So that at least give one indication of the demand and the appetite for the product in the US market.
So then we should wait for you to try to sign a big US telco. That's the next big thing for you in the US.
We have clearly stated that is the next goal in the US market, as we see that has been part of the success factor in all other markets. Yes.
Okay, very exciting. Last question. How, if we think about Xplora in the long term, you've established a very good position in kids smartwatches. That is, of course, a very untapped market that could sustain growth for many years. But should we also think about the potential for Xplora to enter into other product categories outside of kids smartwatches?
I think that's a very good question, and also the reason why we articulated as part of the slide with our IP strategy, that when we started to build our IoT platform for kids smartwatches, our objective was to build that completely hardware agnostic. So we had this very easy opportunity to potentially pivot into new market opportunity if they would come. One observation we have now, talking to big players such as Qualcomm or the larger telco, is that they are seeing a significantly increase of requests from additional family IoT sectors, such as seniors, such as trackers for items or dogs or bikes, for example. So our technology is already prepared to grow into those verticals if we would like to.
Exciting. Sounds like there's a lot of growth potential ahead for many years ahead. Thank you very much, both Sten and Mikael, for presenting us to us here today.
Thank you.